Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Round the nation right here. Jeff Waldorf with you. We got an explosive Monday show. We got a ton of news. We've got Rod Rosenstein, of course, big story of the day. What the hell is going on? I'm going to explain and then contradict myself from earlier today. That's the kind of day that we're having, okay? Rod Rosenstein. Amber Geiger is the woman, the Dallas officer who shot Botham Shamjan in his own apartment. We've got an update on her. We have Kavanaugh. Talk about another explosive accusation, what that means for the Kavanaugh hearings going forward. That's a huge story. Then we got Rob Goldstone. He was the guy who set up the Trump Tower meeting. We've got him talking about the meeting, what happened. So he's talking to the press. Big story on that. Then we've got Trump, of course, the administration funneling money away from health programs. And, of course, you're not going to believe where it goes. Actually, you'll probably definitely believe where it goes. And then, of course, we'll talk about Nike. Who are they funding? What can you probably guess what political party Nike is funding with their money? You're not going to be surprised, but nonetheless, big news day, crazy news day. That's what we've got on the show. And then, of course, after the show at 5 p.m. Eastern, we have a Get Vocal. So that's what I'm doing in partnership with GetVocal.com. So they're a social media platform where people can discuss issues face to face, and that is to try to usher a little bit of respect into our conversations. It's a little bit easier, I guess, to not call someone terrible, horrible things to their face. So I think it's great. So that's why I'm working with Get Vocal to try to help out with our discourse. And I will be doing a show later on today, 5 p.m. Eastern. We will be talking about the midterms, and if Russia is coming for our midterm elections, we're going to have me, Dan Spearin, Jordan French, and guest Ron Placone. So if you missed Ron and you want to hear him talk about Russia, then you're in for a treat, guys. Also tweet, but you are in for a treat today. So that's going to be fun. That's 5 p.m. Eastern. All right, guys. So Kavanaugh. Now here's the thing. Before I get into it, Kavanaugh. I'm reading stuff with there's a fourth accuser. I was like, wait a minute. There's a third. They're looking at a fourth accuser now. What is going on here? But again, we'll dive into the story because we at least have confirmed reports from a second accuser. And we're going to talk about that when we get into the Kavanaugh story. But either way, hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. We don't have any details on number 4 anyway. Not yet. They just said that they're looking into it, and there are no details on that. But anyway, as I said, hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. I almost got blown up by a grill. That's awesome. Maybe I'll share that story at the end of the day. I don't know. But anyway, please like and share this stream. And that helps us out. Consider supporting us through Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation. Also, consider using the super chat function on YouTube. Oh, yeah, by the way, before I get too far away, I know one more thing. We do have an update on subscribers. So let me go here and I never have this up and I don't know why. I should. It would be smart. It would be the greatest. It would be the best. But no, we have, here we go. 88,756 subscribers. So we're well on our way to 89,000. We are trying to get to 100,000 before the end of the year. So you know anybody who's interested, who likes progressive media, or if you come in and you check the channel and, you've seen us a few times and you kind of like what we're about, well, hit the subscribe button. It doesn't hurt. And then later on, if you end up not liking it, you can always unsubscribe, but I doubt that will happen because generally I think we put up pretty good stuff. Anyway, and hey, convince your friends too. All right, guys. Now, let's go in and let's talk Rod Rosenstein. It appears that news of Rod Rosenstein's departure, or demise, career-wise anyway, may have been a little premature. Now, earlier today, there were lots of conflicting reports that have emerged about Rosenstein getting canned, getting fired, resigning, etc. In fact, Axios reported earlier today that Rosenstein had verbally offered to resign to Chief of Staff John Kelly. Now, that report appears to be incorrect, as Rosenstein continues to be Deputy Attorney General. So, looks like he is still there, still has his job for now. Now, according to Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, in a statement, she said, President Trump will meet with Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein at the White House on Thursday. Okay, so they're going to meet on Thursday. Now, that's very interesting that day. I'll get into why later. But there's some theories going on here, okay? So Rosenstein still there, still Deputy Attorney General, but he's going to meet with Trump. What's that meeting going to be about? Now, one of the theories that's being talked about is that he will resign before Trump fires him. He thinks, oh my God, Trump's going to fire me over that New York Times story where I talked about invoking the 25th Amendment. Great. So he can't fire me. I quit. There's one, right? Then, of course, there's the other theory where Rosenstein doesn't actually want to resign. And he told Trump, you're going to have to straight up fire me. And then that's what the Thursday meeting is going to be about. Then there's another theory, and this is fun, is that the news of the resignation is to soften the blow before Trump fires him. Okay, there's another one. Then, finally, right now, Donald Trump is at the UN General Assembly. He's away. He's meeting with leaders. So he'll return on Thursday. And as I said before, he will be meeting with Rosenstein on Thursday. You know what else happens on Thursday? Well, I'm going to tell you. So, sources tell Vanity Fair's Gabe Sherman that Trump over the weekend had floated the possibility of firing Rosenstein as a way to knock the scandal swirling around Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh out of the headlines. Fascinating. Now, one source told Sherman, quote, the strategy here was to try and do something really big. Big. Well, that would be big. And as you've seen earlier today and ongoing, Rosenstein is dominating the headlines, right? Now, the interesting thing here, as I said before, is the timing. That's the same time that Trump is meeting with Rosenstein to discuss whether or not he's going to get shit canned, is the same day Kavanaugh accuser Christine Blasey Ford is set to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee about her allegations of sexual assault. Fascinating. Now, the other question here is, if this is a distraction, who leaked it? Did Donald Trump leak it? I mean, look, if you want to talk about leaks in the White House, who is the number one leaker? Donald Trump. It's not like he hasn't leaked to the media before. And, while he's president, before he was president, he would call up the media with an assumed identity, John Barron, and talk to media reporters as if he's some other guy to talk about Trump. This is John Barron. I've got a big scoop on Donald Trump. But you could tell it was him. So yes, he's done that before, right? And if you want to hide the Kavanaugh stuff, if if you want to be able to shove this guy through, well, I mean, what's more effective than distraction, right? Sherman does note that the leak, quote, certainly had the desired effect of driving Kavanaugh out of the news for a few hours. Fascinating. Now, in all, of course, we don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, on Thursday, I don't know. We do know it's going to be a gigantic circus. We also know that Trump is not happy with the New York Times report, right? The 25th Amendment to remove Trump. We also know he hates the Mueller investigation. So this, whatever happens, if he is fired or if he resigns, well, then this could be a gigantic blow to the Mueller investigation, considering how the person who was most likely to replace him, according to Law and Crime, would be Solicitor General Noel Francisco. So this is now starting to catch fire here, and that's his replacement. Now, there's also conflicting reports on this guy, that he might have already recused himself from the Russia investigation. I don't know. Now, if he hasn't, then that could be big, bad news for the Mueller investigation. Let me explain why. For one, Francisco has previously affirmed the president's legal authority to fire any subordinate he chooses. That includes Robert Mueller, the special counsel. I don't like what you're doing. I don't like this investigation, so I'm going to fire. Mueller. And then here's your Solicitor General in charge of overseeing the Russia investigation that says, yep, go ahead. I believe that you have supreme legal authority to fire whomever you want. Go ahead. In fact, here's a statement on that. The president's constitutional responsibility to faithfully execute the laws requires adequate authority to remove subordinate officers. The framers understood the close connection between the president's ability to discharge his responsibilities as head of the executive branch and its control over its personnel. The president's ability to execute the law is thus inextricably linked to his authority to hold his subordinates accountable for their conduct. Now, speaking about the special counsel himself, or at least the appointment of the special counsel, he said, I don't think it would be appropriate for the Department of Justice to appoint a special counsel. He's arguing against the existence of Robert Mueller's position. He said, my own personal belief is that when you hand these issues off to career prosecutors in the public integrity sections, in the U.S. Attorney's offices and the Department of Justice, those attorneys are generally better able to assess whether a case should be pursued. Interesting. Now, he is also a personal choice of one Steve Bannon. Just to kind of show you what his persuasions are. If Steve Bannon likes you, odds are you might not be a good person. You might be exactly what the president is looking for. So, look, there is a lot of speculation going on here today, and none of it ends up in a good place. So, Mueller, you might want to step it up, drop a few indictments here and there, because, as I see it, you might be running out of time. Tick tock, tick tock. Let's go. Fun. Okay. Moving on. All right. Now, the officer that killed Botham Shamjan has been fired by the Dallas Police Department, according to multiple news outlets. Now, this is Amber Geiger, of course, and she had been dismissed. And according to Dallas Police Chief Renee Hall, first making the announcement on Twitter. Now, of course, Geiger had killed John after she went into his apartment. So there's a lot of speculation about what actually happened, about what actually went on. Now, Geiger, who was hired in November 2013, was fired after Internal Affairs concluded that the officer had engaged in, quote, adverse conduct when she was arrested for manslaughter, and was therefore terminated for her actions. All right. Now, NBC News notes that it remains unclear why the officer opened fire or what she may have been doing since before she returned to her building after working a full shift. Now, Hall, that's the Dallas police chief, said earlier that a blood sample was drawn at her request to test the officer's drug and alcohol levels, and, quote, "We are in the process of obtaining a warrant based on the circumstances." Now, I'd say the circumstances here are pretty awful for Officer Geiger. Look, when you look at her stories, they are conflicting. They don't make any sense. We're not getting the full story here. We're missing a lot of context. We're missing a lot of facts. What we do know is she shot an innocent person. Dead. So we know that part. But motive remains a mystery. Why she was there remains a mystery. There's a lot of mystery here. Okay? And look, the conflicting stories are bad enough. First they claim, oh no, the apartment was locked, then the door was actually ajar. It was open. She tried to open it with a key, but it was already kind of open, and she went in, and there's a big silhouette, and it was scary, and she tried to give the silhouette commands, and then when he didn't follow the commands because it was his house, she then shot him twice, and then he died. But then you also have the fact that the doors cannot be ajar. There are multiple videos showing people in that apartment complex opening and closing their doors. Those doors were heavy. They cannot be ajar. They are heavy and they immediately slam shut. And of course, there are electronic keys as well. So you can't open it if you don't have the right key. So then you also have other witnesses hearing a woman pounding on the door saying, "Please let me in, let me in, let me in." So, look, a lot of that does not get addressed. The official police report, by the way, the affidavit, didn't address any of that. So, I don't know, man. We need answers. There is too much mystery to this. And somebody is lying. And look, I'm gonna personally say I think it's her. But again, we don't know the facts here. So I can't say for 100% what actually happened, but you can tell that her defense is trying to smear the black guy, the dead guy. And so that's what's going on here. So anyway, we do need more facts. We do need the answers. If we're going to pin manslaughter, if we're going to make it stick on Ms. Geiger, not only that, but the family deserves answers. They deserve justice. We need to know. But at least there is one good news, piece of good news from this, and that Geiger will not be working the streets anymore or drawing any sort of pay as she awaits justice. So, at least there's something. Okay. All right. Nope. That's not it. Okay. Let's see. Now, amid the chaos now consuming the White House over Rod Rosenstein, a new accuser has come out against Brett Kavanaugh as Republicans continue to try to ram through his nomination. Now, CNN is reporting that the White House and top Republicans on Monday had rejected Democratic demands for a halt in Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation process following the new allegation. Now, Ronan Farrow, writing for The New Yorker, details some of these allegations that come from Deborah Ramirez, who was identified as the second accuser. Now, she's 53 years old, and she was at Yale with Kavanaugh and said that she remembers him exposing himself to her at a dorm party. She said, quote, "He thrust his penis in my face and caused me to touch it without my consent." So that's gross. That's a wonderful image. So enjoy that. Now she is now calling for the FBI to investigate Kavanaugh's role in the incident. So she's calling for it, and then the first accuser is also calling for an investigation into these allegations. So what are Republicans doing? No, push him through. We need to have him confirmed. We need to have him confirmed now. But wait, there are two allegations. Whether they're true or not, well, investigation will find out. Now, here's the other thing, right? Again, you have two allegations against him, possibly a third and a fourth, which are also being investigated as well, where they are being looked into by different media outlets. Look, this appears to be a pattern. The floodgates are beginning to open. Now, here's something that I hear a lot from conservatives who are talking about this. Yeah, but these are just allegations from years and years ago. They're innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, but that argument sucks. And here's why. This is not a criminal proceeding. This is vetting a potential Supreme Court justice pick. This is somebody who's going to have immense power through their rulings for a very, very long time. If you're going to make that argument, yeah, I get it. But it's a bad argument. And that is actually why you should be in favor of an investigation. Like, if you are if you are concerned with due process, then you should be like, yeah, why don't we have them look into it? Instead, they're like, no, shove them through. Democratic plan. Don't believe the victims. We haven't looked into any of the facts, but let's blame the victims anyway and shove this guy through because it's nothing more than Soros-funded bullshit anyway. That's what they're talking about. When you look, into the stories over on the right about this, it's like a whole entirely different world where every person that is accused Kavanaugh, whether or not, it ends up being fake, they've already made up their minds. It's all fake. But we don't know if they're fake or not. We don't know if those are real accusations. Maybe we should actually look into it. But no, they are trying to rush through these proceedings. Congressmen are pushing them, trying to push them through. In fact, here you have Lindsey Graham, right? Lindsey Graham on this basically is accusing Democrats of causing the total collapse of the traditional confirmation process for a Supreme Court nominee. That's what he said. Really? No, don't you think that would actually have been the appointment of Merrick Garland, whom Republicans held up for over a year? President Obama made that pick of Merrick Garland. And what did the Republicans do? Stall. They did not give him a hearing. They didn't do anything. They stalled him until Donald Trump won the presidency. And now we have Neil Gorsuch. You want to talk about the total collapse of the traditional confirmation process? That would be it right there. We are way beyond that. But anyway, it's still bullshit. But he says, no, quote, it is being replaced by a game of delayed deception and wholesale character assassination. It's character assassination. But you don't know the facts, Lindsey. I don't care about the facts, he says. No. This is character assassination, which means I don't believe the victims whatsoever, or the alleged victims whatsoever. That's what they're saying before any of the facts came out. And again, we should look into that, because is every single allegation true? No. But guess what? You might want to look into it. And I would say most allegations are true because of how difficult it is to come out with them. But wait, Lindsey, I thought you cared about the facts. Well, apparently he does not. Just like the rest of the Republican Party, you want to shove this guy through because, A, he is deeply pro-corporate and will do exactly what your donors want. That's why he's doing this. That's why these Republicans are so aggressive with Kavanaugh. Well, it's my donors really like Kavanaugh because he's massively pro-corporate and will do everything and rule in favor of corporations nearly 100% of the time. That's what it is. No cares if they allegedly assaulted a woman or shoved his junk in somebody's face in a party. No. Won't somebody please think of the donors? Now, in a statement, Kavanaugh, of course, issued this denial. He said, the alleged event from 35 years ago did not happen. The people who knew me then know that this did not happen and have said so. This is a smear, plain and simple. I look forward to testifying on Thursday about the truth and defending my good name and the reputation for my character and integrity that I have spent a lifetime building against these last-minute allegations. And again, that's something that we hear a lot from Republicans. It's last minute. Why didn't they come out sooner? Why, if it had been all these years, why did they not come out with these sexual assault allegations? Well, probably the best time for them to come out, if they're going to come out at all. I mean, look, yeah, definitely would want them to be, out as soon as it happens. Of course, right? But there's a lot of difficulty in reporting. And I guess the second best time is when there's a lot of scrutiny towards this person who has been offered a very powerful position. This would be a great time. And it is a great time. But anyway, you also have Carrie Kupek, a White House spokeswoman, who issued this statement. This 35-year-old uncorroborated claim is the latest in a coordinated smear campaign by the Democrats. I wish the Democrats were as principled as these guys claim they are. No, man, Democrats are running around with their like a chicken with their head cut off. If the Democrats really wanted to stop Kavanaugh, they just would have done the same thing as Republicans and not held a freaking hearing. But Democrats, they suck. They suck at fighting. They suck at standing up for themselves. You don't understand. We must be civil to our Republican colleagues. This is over why the Republicans are literally gearing up to punch you in the face. Okay, not literally, but, politically. They don't play fair. And it's time Democrats are actually realize that and hit back. And again, not physically, right? But politically, and to actually be strong for once. Now, anyway, they said this claim is denied by all who are said to be present and is wholly inconsistent with what many women and men who knew Judge Kavanaugh at the time in college say. The White House stands firmly behind Judge Kavanaugh. Now, I always thought it was kind of funny where, 30 women or something like that as soon as these allegations came out, the first one, there was a signed paper with 30 women produced pretty much that same day or later on the day saying, oh no, we know Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh's a great guy. Well, who has that? Who has that at the ready? I don't know. Maybe they organized really super quick, but something doesn't add up. Something doesn't add up at all on that. And then, of course, the other excuse is, well, look, I didn't mark that in my calendar. I didn't mark that there was a party. Who keeps a calendar for 30? And that's one of his pieces of evidence that he's going to bring forward. Oh, no, I have calendars from way back then. Who keeps their calendar for 30 years? Over 30 years. I don't. As soon as I'm done with it, I throw the goddamn thing out. Maybe I'm weird, but I don't keep those things around to protect me from allegations that I supposedly didn't do. Well, then why have all this stuff, this so-called proof? Something stinks. It does not add up. But going back to the defenses here comes President Trump. He said, for people to come out of the woodwork from 36 years ago and 30 years ago and never mention it and all of a sudden it happens, in my opinion, it's totally political. It's totally political. I mean, it happened in the past, so obviously they would have said something, right? Well, no. Most sexual assault goes unreported, as a lot of it gets excused as, this is boys being boys, man. Not only that, but we regularly shame women who come forward for not apparently coming forward soon enough. That's what this is. Oh, why didn't you come forward sooner? You must be lying. Not only that, but we blame them for dressing for the way that they dress or the way that they conduct themselves or for having a drink, right? Not only that, but there are people that worry more about the men and oh, I don't want to ruin this guy's future and I don't want to besmirch his good name by bringing forward these accusations. Think of how Brock Turner was treated after he was found sexually assaulting a woman who was unconscious behind a dumpster. How did we treat Brock Turner? Do you remember that? They gave him a slap on the wrist because it was an athlete. And they talked about not wanting to ruin his future with a harsh sentence. You ever think that maybe the way that we treat these people, men, especially in our society, is why more women don't go forward? No, there's no concern about what the woman goes through. None. And they wonder why they don't report. The first accuser, by the way, chased out of her home, threatened, harassed. And finally, Trump called Kavanaugh, quote, a fine man with an unblemished past. I just want you to consider some of the other people Donald Trump referred to as very fine people. Think about that. Look, here's the thing. The second, and this is the second accuser. This is Ramirez, right? Now, because of a lot of this, she was hesitant to speak publicly. She told New York Magazine. Now, she also said, look, I was drinking that night. I had some gaps, right, in my memory. So I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure that this was Kavanaugh I remembered. Now, she took about 6 days to assess her memories and consult with her attorney, and then told the New Yorker that she felt confident enough in her recollections to say that she remembers that it was Kavanaugh who was there exposing himself. Now, a classmate of Ramirez's who was not at the party and who declined to be identified told the magazine that he is 100% sure that either on the night of the party or in the next day or two, he was told Kavanaugh was the student who exposed himself to Ramirez. Now, contrast that with, of course, this. Several classmates of Ramirez interviewed by the New Yorker who issued statements to the magazine said they have no memory of the alleged incident or disputed her account of events. So right now, we don't know. But you know what that means? We should actually have a closer look. If it's true that he did do this, we should know. If he didn't do this, then we should also know. Look, all I'm interested in here is finding the truth. What really happened? If Kavanaugh did it, we should know. If Kavanaugh didn't do it, well, then actually that would be a great help to Kavanaugh. Because then the Democrats would be like, well, okay, well, I guess we'll just roll over and allow Kavanaugh's confirmation now. That would be a great help to Kavanaugh. So he should welcome an investigation. And I don't know why he's not. Now, finally, one more piece of information here. And this concerns Republicans. Now, CNN's Caitlin Collins reported on Sunday that multiple senior White House officials had privately expressed concern last week that a second Kavanaugh accuser would emerge. And guess what? That's what happened. And at least 3 senior aides said last week that they were confident Kavanaugh would be confirmed, but warned that a second accusation could derail his nomination altogether. And now, of course, there are reports of a possible third and fourth accuser for Kavanaugh. It's not looking good. So now you might be wondering, why is he so set on Kavanaugh when there are potentially a lot of very corporate, very pro-corporate, very, I guess pro-life or pro-birth or whatever you want to call it, judges waiting to overturn Roe v. Wade that are incredibly, I guess you could say qualified, legally, and exactly what Republicans are looking for on the bench. Just waiting for a nomination. You could just be like, hey, we withdraw the nomination for Kavanaugh and let's pick somebody who's a little less controversial, at least when it comes to that. Controversial in many other ways, of course. Why? Why? Well, it's because of one thing. Donald Trump wants Kavanaugh because he doesn't believe that a sitting president should be impeached or indicted. That's why Trump wants him. Remember, Kavanaugh was actually a huge part of the Kenneth Starr investigation into Bill Clinton. And then suddenly, after that, he decided, oh, yeah, I'm in favor of executive privilege. I'm in favor of making sure that we don't hold these people accountable when they're the president, so that we don't remove them. Fascinating. Weird how he changes his mind now that there is a court seat, his court seat, on the line. But again, out of all the people Trump could pick, he picks Kavanaugh, backs him 100%, despite allegations. Then again, Donald Trump has a ton of allegations against him as well. And him admitting on tape, I grab women by the pussy. Birds of a feather, man. And not only that, just like Donald Trump, the majority of the American people are against the nomination of Kavanaugh. But as I said before, Trump wants him for a very specific reason. And the Republican congressmen are more than willing to go along because of another reason. Corporate donors. That's why they're pushing this. That's why they want him confirmed as fast as possible. And that's why, of course, these allegations are wrecking them. I don't know if Kavanaugh will be confirmed. I hope Democrats stand strong, and I hope that there are a couple of Republicans who have enough of a spine, a backbone to say, hey, wait a minute. Maybe we should look into this a little bit more and not just rush to confirm someone who may or may not have done some heinous things in the past. I hope so. But then again, they are Republicans. And so you never know. Okay. There's that. We've got the Goldstone story coming up next. You're not going to want to miss that. Fascinating story in the Trump Tower meeting. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to go to a break here. Got some super chats to read when we come back. So send yours if you have anything to say. And I'll be watching the chat, of course, for other comments. So go ahead and make them. We'll be back after this quick break. Stay right here, Round the Nation. Welcome back to the show, Around the Nation, right here. Jeff Waldorf with you. Got a couple of super chats I'm going to read for you real quick. That is, Karen Sheets asks, do you believe that Kavanaugh will be confirmed, or is justice blind? When it comes to Republicans, blind. I think most, if not all, Republicans will vote in favor to confirm Kavanaugh. Democrats, I think, at this point, they're universally opposed. There's just too much there. There's too much doubt on whether or not, and what do you think about it too? To interrupt with another thought here, imagine Democrats going into a midterm saying, "Oh no, we voted for Kavanaugh." Oh, disaster! And again, Kavanaugh is incredibly unpopular when it comes to polling. So Democratic voters not in favor. Now, then again, red state Democrats. You never know with them red state Democrats. Joe Manchin, Heidi Heitkamp, Claire McCaskill, right? Now, look, to be fair, Claire McCaskill said, I'm a resounding no. And I think Heitkamp is leaning no. But we don't know. We don't know, as I said before. At least I don't know. I haven't looked up their public statements on that. But again, these are red state Republicans. Or I'm sorry, red state Democrats. I don't trust them at all. But nonetheless, I do think most of the Democrats though are going to block his nomination. But anyway, okay. Next one here from Super FKV. Greetings from Denmark. Well, greetings to you. Thank you. I have a lot of Danish viewers, and I think that's awesome. So thank you for tuning in, man, and thank you for the super chat. All right, let's go in. We got the Goldstone story next. You're gonna love that. Okay. First, let me do this. Now, Rob Goldstone is the music publicist that had set up a Trump Tower meeting with 3 senior members of Donald Trump's presidential campaign, as well as a small group of people working on behalf of the Russian government. Now, he's apparently telling his story about the Trump Tower meeting for the first time. Now, guess what? It's because he's got a book. Let's be honest about that. Everybody's coming out with a book. It's amazing. Maybe I should come out with a book. It's called Pop Stars, Pageants, and Presidents, How an Email Trumped My Life. Now, that email in question is actually kind of interesting. Now, that email basically led to a meeting, the famous Trump Tower meeting, right? Now, speaking about the meeting he helped set up, which promised the future president's son that the Crown Prosecutor of Russia, which is not true, by the way, had information to share that would incriminate Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and her dealings with Russia. So they're like, oh, you're going to accuse us of dealing with Russia? Actually, you're dealing with Russia. Ha! Take that. Okay. Hey, you know what? We'll find out the truth one of these days, right? Because we don't know if the Trump campaign literally dealt with Russia. So that's something that we're actually looking to find out. But anyway, now Goldstone maintains that the meeting turned out to be nothing more than a mind-numbingly dull presentation and a few vague remarks about Russian fundraising for Democrats, which then turned towards a discussion of adoption. Goldstone said, quote, and he told Donald Trump Jr. this was one of the most embarrassing meetings I have ever been in, and I set it up. Because originally, he set it up so that he could get dirt on Hillary Clinton that they could use against her in the election. Now, wait a minute here. So this is Rob Goldstone, again, backing up what Donald Trump Jr. said, and I was looking to do collusion. I wanted to collude with a foreign government and get opposition research on Hillary Clinton that they said that they had. Now, did they have it? Well, Goldstone says no. And look, considering how Goldstone is a big player in this, it makes sense that he keeps saying that, oh, no, this has nothing to do with the interference in our elections, nothing to do whatsoever. No, we got nothing from that. And it's not connected to the interference. We had nothing to do with that. And we got no information, so we didn't do anything wrong. Well, this stinks of, I'm covering my ass. That's just what I think there. Now, whether that's true or not, we're going to eventually learn, but he did tell USA Today in an interview that he has no doubt the Russians interfered in some way in the presidential elections. And that's true. Social media, fake news, trying to influence voters, things like that, right? And I would argue that it's actually pretty easy to influence voters away from Hillary Clinton. Most people already made up their minds that Hillary Clinton sucked. So it's not like some mastermind attempt. It's like people already hate Hillary Clinton, and there's already so much negative information about her anyway, and she doesn't do her campaign any favors. So let's put out a few stories, put out some memes, a couple of fake news articles, and people are going to go crazy. And that's exactly what happened. They took somebody who was already widely disliked and just reminded people, these are the reasons that we dislike her, that you should dislike her. Okay, fair enough, right? Still, foreign interference, not the greatest thing. But anyway, Goldstone explains the biggest misconception people have about him is that this was done with some political leaning. That he says, set out to put Donald Trump in the White House. Well, I mean, that probably would have helped you had this whole Russia thing didn't actually happen, right? You would have had a high-placed friend in the White House. That would have been good for you. I mean, you did, after all, help the Trump campaign do collusion. So I wonder why a lot of people would get that idea that you were there to help Trump because you helped Trump. Anyway, now he says, no, politics, I'm not interested in politics whatsoever. In fact, politics has never even interested me. Whether it's in the UK where I grew up, since I lived in America, which is 20-something years. Really. And he says, why he backed Donald Trump, he said, quote, I picked the winner. Maybe I should vote more often. Oh, is that why you backed Donald Trump? Oh, he was a winner. I think Donald Trump's a winner. No. Now, he also said, interestingly enough, he said that if he had voted in the presidential election, his pick probably would have been Bernie Sanders. Oh, okay. Now, this is funny, right? So here comes all the I'm still with her people, right? And these people crack me up because they're so unhinged from reality, right? The people that are like, Bernie Sanders, Russian plant. He's working with the Russian. That's ridiculous. Again, we don't even have full proof that Donald Trump's working with the Russians. Now, I think that that's a possibility, but I can't prove it. But there is absolutely no evidence, circumstantial or not, that Bernie Sanders working for Putin. That's ridiculous, right? Dumb. Now, first of all, to go in the I picked the winners thing, right? Now, if Bernie Sanders had won the Democratic nomination, he would have crushed Trump. He consistently polled against Donald Trump by double digits. They couldn't have used oh, you're so corrupt line against, Bernie Sanders. Why? Because he takes no corporate money, no corporate PAC money, no super PAC money. So you can't say that, oh, Bernie Sanders, tool of corporations and the wealthy. No. If anybody's a tool of corporations and the wealthy, it's Donald Trump, who literally admitted to being the corporation that buys politicians. And then, of course, Donald Trump getting all sorts of money during his presidential campaign from super PACs and corporations. You see, all the attempts to destroy Bernie Sanders by Donald Trump these attacks would have failed. All he had was crazy Bernie. Crazy Bernie wants to give you health care that's going to be cheaper for you and your family. Oh, wow, that actually sounds kind of good. Huh. Wow. Wait, Crazy Bernie wants to give me and my kids free college? Oh, that sounds terribly awesome. Yes, sign me up for Crazy Bernie. He would have had no attacks except nonsensical bullshit. So, yeah, spare me the, Bernie Sanders would not have won crap. Because that's what it is. It's crap. But anyway, not only that, but getting back to the whole Russia point, Bernie Sanders has consistently condemned Russia for interference. And then you also have Tad Devine, right? Tad Devine, I remember when these same I'm With Her people was like, oh my God, Tad Devine, that's the proof that Bernie Sanders is a Russian plant. No, he was asked because he worked with Paul Manafort at a same firm representing the pro-Russia Ukrainian party of regions, to testify against Paul Manafort at his recent trial. You know what happened? He got convicted, Paul Manafort did, of 8 different counts related to that, money laundering and such, and has led to Manafort flipping on Donald Trump and cooperating with the Mueller investigation. Whereas Devine, never under investigation by the Mueller team, and has nothing to do with Russia, except for the fact that he did lobby on behalf of the Ukrainian Party of Regions. That doesn't mean he's a Russian plant. It means that he was doing a job. But anyway, point is, Devine not charged with anything. Neither is Sanders. So ridiculous smear, right? But anyway, Goldstone's point is, and I actually agree with that, Bernie would have won. Fair enough. Instead, we got Trump. But nonetheless, moving forward, right? Now, Goldstone then describes the Russia meeting as, quote, a bait and switch. Now, this is interesting, too. Now, inside the 25th floor conference room, Goldstone found himself seated beside Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Goldstone said, and this is a funny aside, I thought he was the thinnest person I'd ever seen. Trump Jr. was there, along with Donald Trump's campaign manager, Paul Manafort, and, of course, Natalia Veselnitskaya. Now, that is the Russian attorney, and she was accompanied by 3 people, a colleague, a translator, and a business associate of the Agalarovs. Now, the Agalarovs, Goldstone was the agent for Eamon Agalarov, who's a pop singer, and then his father is a real estate magnate in Russia, a lot like he's basically been described as the Russian Donald Trump. So that's fascinating. So Goldstone is connected to all those people and was basically a bridge. In fact, the person that suggested the meeting was Eamon Agalarov, who was told, presumably by his father, hey, I've got connections to the Russian government. They got dirt on Hillary. You might want to tell your friends to set up a meeting. So that's what connects this whole thing. But anyway, that happened. And the way that Goldstone remembers it, he said, Veselnitskaya gave one of the most droning, monotonous presentations I'd ever heard. She talked in just general terms about some well-known Russians making questionable donations to the Democratic election campaign. And while the lawyer spoke, Goldstone recalled, Manafort typed away on his phone and never looked up. An irritated Kushner interrupted the lawyer in mid-sentence and asked her to get to the point. Veselnitskaya started over with the same rambling statement. Jared, I thought, was going to throw his phone at her. That would have been funny and awesome. And then when Trump Jr. made a movement as if he were about to stand up, Veselnitskaya changed course and started to speak more passionately about Russian adoption and the Magnitsky Act, which is something, of course, that's been pissing off Putin. And the reason why is that the Magnitsky Act targeted Russian billionaires and oligarchs. Oligarchs hold a lot of power and mostly are friends with Vladimir Putin. How else are you supposed to do business in autocratic Russia? You've got to be chummy with the leaders, right? And so that makes sense. Those Magnitsky Act sanctions hit those billionaires, got Putin pretty pissed off. And so he really wants to do something about that. And so, working with Putin, Veselnitskaya made this point, promising dirt on Hillary Clinton, and apparently, supposedly not, of course, delivering on that promise of dirt. Trump Jr. then, of course, ended the meeting, telling Veselnitskaya that his father was still a private citizen, not an elected official, and suggesting that she take her concerns up with the Obama administration. Goldstone says he was embarrassed by what he calls Veselnitskaya's bait and switch, that he vowed never to speak at the meeting again, although once it became public, he would volunteer to tell his story to a federal grand jury. Mueller's investigators in all 3 congressional committees probing Russian meddling in the election. So here's the thing, right? Goldstone says, no dirt. Donald Trump Jr. says, no dirt. We didn't get no dirt. We wanted dirt. We wanted to collude with a foreign power in order to get intelligence, which, look, if it's opposition research that you're going to use in a political campaign against a political opponent, then that is considered a campaign contribution. Guess what that is? That's illegal. You can't get campaign contributions from a foreign source. Doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, you're not supposed to get money from foreign sources. So there's that. So clearly illegal, right? Now, here's the thing. The Trump team is saying no dirt whatsoever, right? We didn't get anything for that. We got dick. Well, I don't actually believe them. Why is that? Well, not long after that meeting, here comes WikiLeaks with a trove of stolen emails. Now, those emails were actually pretty damaging, as they showed the Clinton team sabotaging Bernie Sanders, the most popular politician in America, holding a public-private position on issues, right? Oh, no, publicly, I'm railing against banks. Privately, I love Goldman Sachs. Boy, they're the greatest people ever. Public and private position. And then, not only that, but the emails highlighted deep, deep corruption within the DNC. Those are very, very important. And so, I'm glad those emails came out. And my position on that has always been, okay, WikiLeaks, when they did that, when they released those emails, they were acting in the pursuit of transparency. There's a lot of people that might not agree with that, but I think those are things that were important to know, because right now they are ushering reforms into the Democratic Party to try to make it a little bit more democratic. That doesn't mean that there isn't a long way to go on that. There's a long, long way to go in replacing the corrupt institution that is the Democratic Party, that is the DNC. But at least now we're having a conversation on this, and we're making some reforms. Like the reforms to the superdelegates could have been better, but we wouldn't have even started this conversation had it not been for those emails. Not only that, but afterwards, we recently found that there were suspicious money transfers within the Agalarov family, in which, of course, Goldstone represented as Eamon's publicist. That family also very friendly with Donald Trump. So there's a lot of things that is linking this, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's, that's a smoking gun. We got him. No. This could all be coincidence. Might not have anything to do with Donald Trump, or it might have something to do with Donald Trump. That's what we actually have to look into. But this is Goldstone. In my opinion, he's saying, hey, I didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't me. Don't look into me. I didn't do anything. I am cooperating. I am, of course, saying, here, this is what I know. This is everything that I know. This matches up with what Donald Jr. has been saying. Please don't come after me. And look, it's not as if Mueller is looking into Rob Goldstone. No, he's looking into other things, very suspicious things related to this. So he's not at all interested in Goldstone. So maybe it's true that he wasn't involved in anything other than setting up the meeting, and that maybe if there was anything shady that happened, it happened without him. Again, I don't necessarily know. But that's why we have an investigation. And hopefully we can continue that investigation and find out what actually happened, who knows what, and whether or not there was actual collusion, or I should say an actual willful connection between the Trump campaign and a foreign power. You know why? Because I think that that's something that's really important and something that the American people also need to know. Okay. Jesus, man. Okay, we're going to have to... Damn. We're going to have to go into some of the other stories tomorrow. I got to get ready for the Get Vocal stream. So join me there at getvocal.com, or it'll be streamed here live on YouTube as well. That's coming up at 5 p.m. Eastern. We have Ron Placone, Jordan French, Dan Spearin, and myself talking about the issue. So we'll do that. We do have, apparently, reading the chat, I think people got some birthdays. So let me give a quick shout out here. We have, hopefully I'm saying it right, Sarge Tech. So September 24th. Happy birthday, Sarge. I think we also have one for, that was 9/22. That was on, I believe on Friday, or no, Saturday, public domain. So happy birthday to you guys, or gals. I don't know. Happy birthday. Do we have another one? Martin? Is it yours? A lot of birthdays here in September. Mine's coming up, of course, on Thursday, too. So everybody that's got a birthday today, happy birthday, guys. And thank you for watching. Thank you for spending your time here around the nation with me. So thank you. Guys, I got to get out of here. Tune in for that next stream. Please subscribe. Please like. Consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/TYTNation. Also, yeah, subscribe. Help us get to 100,000 subscribers. And our Facebook page, facebook.com/TYTNation. Help us get to 10,000 followers. So that'll help out as well. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, TYT Nation. See you guys in about an hour.